Hello, best of your listeners, and welcome to the best real estate investing advice ever show. I'm Theo Hicks, and today I'll be speaking with Chris Thomas. Chris, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm fired up, man. We should have did this interview a long time ago.
Well, we're finally here. I appreciate you taking the time to join me today. Chris is at one of his rental properties right now. So a little bit about Chris. He is a full-time short-term rental investor with 2.5 years of experience. Portfolio is 257 rentals with 70, and 70 of those are managed from other people, for other people. He is based in San Diego. And his website right now is getchrisThomas.com, but it might be different when this airs. And so it's either that or the one that's in the show notes below. So Chris, do you mind telling us some more about your background and what you're focused on today?
100%. I'm from East San Diego, North Park. So born and raised in North Park, San Diego. And pretty much what I'm doing now is I come from two failed startups. So I come from two failed startup corporate world, then to two failed startups, to being back at my family's house in a bad situation, to now having a ton of Airbnb rentals and just absolutely crushing it.
So 2.5 years is when you started doing when you started investing, right? Like 2.5 years ago?
Correct.
So
Correct.
what made you, so obviously corporate world, tried the startups, back at home. Tell us about the process of selecting real estate in general, and then tell us why short-term rentals.
Great questions, Theo. Hey, man, let me tell you, it was first of all out of desperation, but I've always wanted to be a real estate investor since I was a child, since I was like 8 years old. That's crazy, right? I knew I was going to be into something into business, and I knew that the way to get rich when I eventually became more than an adolescent was being a real estate investor. So I saw this opportunity for Airbnb rentals, and I saw how much it got in. I didn't have any money. I saw that this investment, this opportunity was booming. So I started my venture by getting investors. That's how I started.
So got into real estate because you wanted to do this since you were a kid. For Airbnbs, saw the growth potential, the profit potential. And so you mentioned raising money. So had you done real estate at all up to this point?
Never.
Okay.
Never.
So
I never did real estate. I did sales calls for a loan company when I was like 16 years old, 17 years old, making sales calls, but I didn't even know what I was doing at that time, but I've always wanted to be in real estate since, 18 years old, like actually knowing what it can do for you. So, but just didn't have the mindset for it or the know-how. So.
Sure. So how did you raise money then? Like who did you go to, and then how did you convince them to invest with someone who's never done this before?
Great question, man. Hey, let me tell you, I was fully transparent with these people, these investors. How did I reach investors? I manually reached out to these investors via LinkedIn, 500 messages via LinkedIn. I didn't have LinkedIn Premium or none of that crazy stuff. And for 48 hours straight, I think I had 4 hours of sleep between 2 days. And I was literally sending out messages to 500 investors, and their tagline was investor. And I reached out to 500 people. Like 40 of them reached back out to me saying, what is it? Tell me about it. And then 11 of them moved forward and got 3 to 5 rentals each. And I was in debt, $40,000. I had negative 13 cents in my bank account. And then just imagine a couple weeks later that I had 38K in my bank account from all these rentals I was doing. And then I was making 11K every month after that, managing their rentals. So it's incredible, man. I was imagine going from, I was on welfare, I had the yellow card in here in California, and to moving on to transitioning into, managing rentals.
What did your message say? Was it the same message to all 500 people, or was it custom?
It was custom. Each message was custom because with LinkedIn, if you copy and paste messages, it goes up under their spam, So I had to manually say, "Hey, Theo, I saw that you like this article. I like that article too." So I made it relevant. Boom. Right. So I went in there, searched their profile, looked at stuff that they liked. And said, "Hey, I like that what he said too here. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm in the Airbnb rental space, and I'd love to pick up a rental for you."
Okay.
And I'm new to this. I told these people this is my first time doing this, but I know there's an awesome opportunity. But here I'm working with my buddy who already has a rental. So I use that leverage that my buddy already had a rental in San Juan Capistrano that I'm managing it.
There you
go. So I had some legway.
And then they reached back out. You said the 40 contacted you. What was that process like? I mean, was it just immediately, boom, I'm ready to go? Was there some additional courting? Like how long? I guess, walk us through what happened after that. Like how long it took? Was it a lot of back and forth? Did they want to talk on the phone, meet in person?
It was all phone. So most of them were here in California. 90% of them are here in California, some in Arizona. So initial conversation was the vetting process. Do they have an LLC? How much capital they have? How much capital that they have in their in their business to show financials to potential property managers and owners to make sure that they have the financials to back up that 2 to 5 times the rent. So it was that vetting process. Once we got through that vetting process, some were like, this is kind of, I don't know, typical sales. And then some were like, let's do it. You're going to do everything? Yes, I'll do everything. I'll manage everything. I'll set everything up. And all you'll see is the money going to your account. And all you have to pay me is $1,000 a month. $500 to $750 a month.
And that is based off of, is it a percentage or is it just flat fee?
Flat fee. That's for paid for cleaners and all this other stuff that goes into the business. So they're paying $750 per rental, Theo. So per rental that they had, they paid me $750 per rental. So that was pretty cool. That's how I raised capital. Was finding people with money.
Okay, so you've got the money now. At what point in the process did you start looking for deals, and how did you find them?
Good question. So how did I start looking for deals? Within 8 months, I had 20 plus rentals myself. So I had 20 plus rentals, and I just went to the same places that we already had rentals in. Smartest way to do it, right? We're already in the building. So I just went back to them with another LLC, like, hey, we have another my company that would like to get 3 more rentals or 4 more rentals, depending on the building that we're in. So I went to the rental. So check this out. I went to the best places that were performing the best for my clients. And I just went to those rentals. I just went to those buildings rather and got rentals in those places.
So I guess I'm kind of confused. So
sure.
What kind of properties are these that you're buying?
Apartment. I'm not buying, renting. Yeah, we're renting. Yeah, renting to rent.
Okay, I don't think I fully understood that. Okay, so let me take it back then. How are you? So you say you're buying them, you're leasing them from.
Correct.
I see.
Yeah, we're leasing the apartment, and then with the owner or the decision maker, we're using a subject to put this on short-term rental sites. And then we're putting it under an LLC to put it back on vacation rental sites such as Airbnb, VRBO, go down the list.
So you'll go in there. Is your name on the lease, or do you have a buyer already whose LLC goes on the lease?
Correct. So when I initially started, it was their LLC, and they're representing that LLC, and that's it, man. It would be nothing personal. It'd be all under the companies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we put the buyer's LLC on the lease.
Correct.
And then you said, so I think, sorry, I think I missed that.
Investors.
Yep. So the investors do it. And then, how are you then, are you just automatically just allowed to do short-term rentals, or does the lease need to be specific way? Do you need to ask the landlord, or is just whatever?
No. It has to be 100% legitimate. You know, you have to let these people know when we're going into the building that we're going to be putting this on Airbnb. So it's 100% legal, and they understand what we're going to be doing there. So that's pretty much it. We got a lot of no's and we got a lot of yeses, and we just vetted out the yeses and moved forward those buildings in downtown San Diego, Chula Vista, California, and some up north and Escondido, stuff like that. But primarily San Diego, California, Metro, North Park. So, yep.
Got it. Okay, so once you've secured this lease, then who pays? I mean, I'm assuming you're furnishing them. Who pays for all that?
Great question. The investor. So they would write us a check for $7,500, which would include their rents, their deposits. Pretty much per rental would be about $5,000 to $7,000. And that would include their rents, their deposits, and the furniture. And then we would take, of course, our portion, fulfillment fee, which would range from $1,500 to $2,000 per rental. So,
okay, and then you'll go in there with the furniture, and then you'll post it on Airbnb, and then you're kind of responsible for just kind of managing that day-to-day stuff. Okay. Oh,
yep.
What all when you first started, were you doing everything yourself, or did you immediately outsource, things like the cleaning and stuff like that?
I always recommend, if anybody's going to get in this business, for the first couple months, do it yourself so you understand the questions that your guests are asking, or if all the stuff that you're going to be going through with cleaners and the frustrations, you want to fill that so that when you're ready to outsource this or give that project to someone else, delegate that process, that you have all the answers ready for any questions that person that's doing the task, they understand the whole process. So yes, in the beginning, the first 3 months, I was doing everything before I hired a channel manager through Guesty and and cleaning. We weren't doing the cleaning, of course. Come on, I can't swing a mop. So so we hired some cleaners, man. We went through so many cleaners, but yes, we're doing everything when it comes to guest communication and managing the unit.
Okay. And then does that $7,500 that the investor gives you, does that cover, like how much rent does that cover?
It covers the first month's rent and the deposit primarily. And then they're responsible for the monthly rents.
Okay. And so so are they submitting that to you, or are they sending that in themselves?
They direct deposit it to the company. Okay. So they'll automatically.
Pretty easy. Yeah,
they would direct deposit it to the company. If they didn't have direct deposit, they would find a way to send them a check. So every company, everybody that has rental property, hopefully they have a direct deposit option. So, but all of ours did, luckily.
How much money? Because they said that they're obviously paying the rent, plus they're paying you $500 to $750 per month. So how much are these units generating?
They're generating
on average.
On average, the average unit right now after paying, are you saying after they paid me?
I guess both. So how much is it just, how much money, how much are you bringing in this kind of total? And then how much are the investors making? Yeah.
So to answer your question appropriately, the investors are making an average of $2,700 per rental. And after paying us, of course, it'd be $2,000 to $2,200, depending on what type of rental it is. If it's a 3-bedroom, they're paying us $750 to manage it. So,
okay.
2 bedrooms is roughly around $600, and 1 bedroom is $500 to manage.
Well, you kind of already answered that. I mean, I think the fascinating part about this is that, as you said, because you've kind of got the proof of concept already once you've gotten one. So okay, well, if this one's working, then I can just get more deals in the same building.
That's what we did for my rentals, for my portfolio.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole vetting process was done. So I use these investors for my benefit as well, because check it out, Theo. We saw the best performing rental. We saw the revenues that these people are bringing in, and then what do you think I did? You know, I went to these same buildings that were the best performers and invested my earnings into these buildings. So,
How long did it take until you started doing that? Until you started doing it yourself?
it took about 6 months.
Okay, and then until you're buying. So I mean, essentially, you're just buying the furniture instead of getting the money from them. Like you're the $7,500.
Correct. Say it one more time. No.
I guess it's a little bit less than that because of the fulfillment fee. I guess like how much money are you paying per like upfront per investment? How much money are you making per rental?
How much am I making per rental on a management?
No, the one that you own.
Oh, currently?
Yeah, yours. Just per.
Oh, just per. We're about 2,700 to 4K average, 3,667 per rental. 2,700 to 3,667 average a month.
This is very fascinating. I'm glad because halfway through I realized what you were actually saying. I was like, I think I've heard this one or two more times before. Whenever I hear this, it's so interesting to me because it seems so obvious, but no one. I mean, I haven't heard of that many people doing this.
Well, now you met the Don, man. You met the King Kong of Airbnb rentals.
I know, especially with your. I mean, yeah, your upfront work is impressive with all those messages. All right, Chris, what is your best real estate investing advice ever?
Never lose money on a deal. The way to do that is to minimize your risk. Number one, minimize your. There's actually two things. That's a great question. I've never been asked that in a minute. Number one is you want to minimize your risks. And the way to minimize your risks is to find somebody who's already done it and find the softwares and tools. You can agree with this. You're an engineer. Find all the back end stuff, the reverse engineering, and work backwards before you sign anything on the deal. The deal is done in the data. And I'm a huge data guy. So if the numbers aren't attractive for a particular rental property, using tools like airdna.co. This is a short-term rental site that analyzes short-term rentals to make sure you're making money before you even get into a deal. The second piece of advice that I have for real estate is find a way to get there faster. Airbnb, it doesn't cost you 10, 20,000. It doesn't cost you ridiculous amounts. I have a guy in Nashville, Tennessee, who is one of my students that took my short-term rental academy. This dude has 11 rentals. Nashville, he started with $3,500, and he only went in with $500 for a deposit because the people are struggling. Coronavirus.
Exactly.
People are struggling in Tennessee right now, man. And Nashville, this guy walked into a luxury spot in Nashville, Tennessee, downtown Nashville, and pulled off. I was impressed, and walked in for $500 in a deposit, didn't pay the first month's rent. Now the guy has 11 rentals, making like $60K a month, and he's a 19-year-old kid. So, that's crazy.
Yeah. All right, Chris, are you ready for the best ever lightning round?
Let's do it.
Okay, what is the best ever book you've recently read?
The best ever book I've recently read is Built to Sell by John Werilo. Built to Sell. That's a really good book. Have you read it?
No, I've not. I'll have to. I don't think I've heard of it, so I'll have to look into that for sure. What would if your business would have collapsed today? What would you do next?
The same thing.
Exact same thing. I agree. I would too. What is the best deal you've done so far?
The deal I made with myself to never quit.
I've never heard that answer before. I like that. What is the best ever way you like to give back?
Through teaching, YouTube, my training. That's the best way, is through education. Education is the greatest foundation and formula to wealth.
And then lastly, what is the best ever place to reach you?
Everything's at Get Chris Thomas. Everything you can think of. Any social media platform is at GET Chris Thomas. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchatty, whatever it is, wherever you're at, I'm at. It's at Get Chris Thomas.
Awesome, Chris. Well, Thank you so much for joining us today and explaining your very unique strategy of essentially finding really well placed apartment units that would work well for short-term rentals, renting those out, and then using other people's money to furnish and pay the rent, and then you just collect a fee on the upfront and then each month based off of managing the entire short-term rental process for them. You talked about how you first got started and you manually went on LinkedIn and spent 2 days straight manually messaging 500 people who had investor in their tagline. 40 had reached back out and 11 moved forward with 3 to 5 of these types of rentals. You talked about how you initially messaged these people, making sure that it was relevant based off of what you found on their profile or something they had recently liked. We're transparent and let them know that you personally hadn't done this yet, but you had a friend who had a short-term rental, or that you were working with a friend who had a short-term rental for that proof of concept. And you said that based off of, once people invest their money, then you make 500 to 750 per month per rental. And that within 8 months, you had a lot of rentals yourself. And I really like this, how you're finding these deals. And so you kind of use, you said you use some tech to make sure that, certain places are good for short-term rentals. But then once an investor has bought one of these units and you see how well it's doing, then you use that as proof of concept and then go and buy other rentals in that same building because you already know they're performing really well. And you went into a lot more detail on how this process works, but that's kind of the gist of it. And then your best ever advice was to never lose money on a deal by minimizing risks, which involves finding someone who's already done it before and then reverse engineering the process using data and technology. And then you said to find a way to get there faster. And, clearly you are living that advice. So Chris, really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the show. Best of listeners, as always, thank you for listening. Have a best ever day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, thanks you so much, Theo, man. This has been one of the best podcasts I've ever been on, man. You guys really do make that name shine. The best ever real estate investing podcast ever. And the questions you asked were just second to none. And absolutely enjoyed being on here today, and hopefully make it an electrifying day.
I appreciate it, Thomas. Bye.